Today we're going to make the most amazing sour cream pound cake. It is tender and moist and perfectly dense, as a good pound cake should be. It has like that perfect texture but still melts in your mouth. And there's one secret ingredient that makes it absolute perfection. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit subscribe below and click the bell icon so that you get notified every time I post a new and delicious recipe. Let's get into it. So pound cake is actually super easy. I'm gonna make this in a stand mixer, but you could totally make this with a hand mixer. You can also make it by hand with a wooden spoon like they did in the old days, but like, woof. I don't have time for that. Butter. You want it to be like pliable. If it's a little bit cold, that's okay. So I'm basically just letting my butter finish temping a little bit in my mixer. I'm using kind of the friction and the movement of the paddle to finish the, the softening, if you will. So while that's happening, we can prepare our dry ingredients. And by prepare, I mean take our AP flour. I've got kosher salt and the tiniest amount of baking soda. Whisk. Done. Okay, my butter is fully temped. You know what, before we proceed, let's prepare our pan. I find in a pan like this, it's kind of hard. So I find a spray is nice, but you could totally butter, okay? I'm just gonna spray really well because there's like, a bajillion crevices in here. Next step, we are going to flour our pan, okay? I don't take this step very often, but when I'm making bundt cakes or any sort of baking in a decorative pan or, with like a, a pattern on it, then I definitely do. Don't omit this step, okay? Just don't. I'm basically just kind of letting the flour go all over, and I'm gonna actually roll it. It didn't totally get all the crevices. I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in there, and I'm gonna do it again. You don't want any of your cake to just be like stranded in your pan when you're done. Like, that's so sad. So I'm feeling confident in the flouring of my pan, but obviously there's a lot of extra flour happening. My neighbor is gonna be really mad at me, but we need to tap out our flour, okay? I'm gonna put this down. You don't have to do this, you can do this on your countertop, but this is for my neighbor. So we are going to bang our pan. No, not on my pants. It's fine, I'm fine. Isn't she lovely? Yes, she is. Okay, well, now we have a floured pan with lots of ado. Okay, so we've got our butter in here. We've got our sugar. Yeah, it's a lot of sugar. It's actually more than a pound. And then we're gonna cream it. Now, in pound cakes, I don't like light and fluffy pound cakes. Like, is it a pound cake if it's light and fluffy? In my personal opinion, which happens to be professional, no. So when I say cream, I'm not doing it like I would in a cake where I want it to be light and fluffy and airy, right? I'm not trying to get air between the particles of sugar and the butter, and like I'm not trying to beat in volume. I'm trying to incorporate, I'm trying to, get a little bit of volume, but not like a massive amount, right? Which is why we don't really use a lot of leavening here. Hold on, I'm gonna scrape down the sides of my bowl because it is basically coated in butter. So let's go ahead and get that scraped. All right, so it's come together basically, and usually when we were talking about cakes and stuff and previous cakes, I would say like you want the sugar and the butter kind of come together, they're like cohesive, and then when they fall apart, that is your moment when you start adding your eggs, right? That's like your light and fluffy. But today, we are not going to wait that long. Our butter and sugar have come together, and we are going to start adding our eggs. So, dense pound cakes. Turn this up. I mean, you do want to beat in your eggs because let's be honest, like, we're not trying to make like a rock. let me scrape down my bowl. Just add them one at a time. Last one, best one. Et voila. All right, so now we're gonna start adding our dry ingredients followed by our wet, right? So we've got, well, just dump your vanilla in there, so that's it. Dry. Bit of sour cream. I like to just like keep adding, right? Like you don't want to just like be waiting for it to be already incorporated in there. Like that's going to add a bunch of gluten and sadness and no sad cakes, okay? Happy cakes. Sour cream. That's what the sour cream is for also. Happiness. Go ahead and get your last bit of sour cream in there. If it's like already mixing in mostly, you can just stop it, get it in. And then our last bit of flour. And the pièce de résistance, brandy. Okay, this is not traditional. You could use milk if you'd like, but why? You could use any booze that you'd like. Tequila, perhaps? I don't know, I'm just saying. So we're gonna go ahead and get that in there. You could omit it too. You're just gonna have a very, very, very dense pound cake, which, if that's your jam, I like you already. All right, let's just scrape it down one time, and then we'll give it one more go around the mixer. And we're done. Now, I've preheated my oven to 325, and you should too. I like to give it one last mix, just kind of a fold in the bowl, because it never, there's always some butter sugar situation happening at the bottom of your pan or your bowl, and like it's not gonna end up well in your batter. So let's get this into our prepared dish. She is luscious. All right, all our batter is in. Just go ahead and just kind of smooth it off on the top, like an offset. You could use a spatula, you could use a spoon, you could do whatever you want, to be honest, but. And she's ready to go in the oven. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm really stoked. This is this is a deep, deep pound cake. So it's probably gonna bake close to 60 minutes, maybe almost an hour and a half. So we'll just keep checking until a cake tester comes out clean with some clinging crumbs. That's our happy space. In she goes. Preheated, 325. She's out. Cooked for about 70 minutes. So like a little over an hour. I was checking every 5 minutes after it hit 50 just to make sure that I caught it the perfect time. You want to make sure you use a cake tester, especially for, you know, kind of dense cakes like this where they look like they're done on the outside. It had already cracked, but it was still, you know, very, very wet when I put my cake tester in, whereas now, you know, if you insert it, it comes out clean. In some places it has a bit of clinging crumbs to it, which is totally fine. As long as it looks like cake and not batter, you are safe. And now we just sadly need to let her cool. So we're just gonna let her sit. It's probably gonna take, I mean, close to an hour, I wanna say, to be safe, and we wanna be safe because we wanna get all of those beautiful ridges from our design. We don't wanna like have sad batter, just like cake stuck to the inside of the pan. Mirror. I mean, if that happens, you can just patch it back together, but you know, we have patience today. So we wait. We are finally ready. I am so excited. Okay, so you can see that it's risen above the top of the pan. Okay, that's fine. You know, normally I wouldn't really care, but I'm gonna put it on a cake stand and I want it to be pretty and flat. So today we're going to level it off a bit. Also, I am going to make a trifle with some of this cake, and we can just put that right into a bowl and use it for the trifle. So nothing will go to waste. Just a little leveling, right? So nothing excessive, nothing crazy. Obviously you want to make sure that it is cool when you do this, because otherwise it'll just smoosh it and you'll have like a cake mush instead of cake. So I'm going to take these off and put them in my bowl here. Maybe I'll eat one. I don't know. Oh yeah, so good. Delightful. Okay, now we are ready to unmold it. Now you could unmold this onto any cake stand, any plate, whatever you want to unmold it on, whatever you have, that's what you should use. Now, it might be a little messy because of the crumbs that I created when I cut the top off, or bottom rather, but we're not going to stress about that, and we're just going to place it on top. We'll stressed. There she goes. I know. You were like, you spent 20 minutes doing that pan, but it was worth it. Yes, it was. Look at our beauty. Now you could just leave this as it is. It is delightful all on its own, but you could also make a really easy glaze with confectioner sugar and lemon juice, or more brandy. Shh, I won't tell. Or you can do what we're gonna do, which is just dust the top with a little bit of confectioner sugar, just for like a little, like to highlight some of those peaks and valleys that we've got in our very decorative pan here. So I'm just gonna, you know, dust this like a so. Oh my goodness, I can't. I didn't know it could get any prettier, and it did. It did. Now you could adorn it with some berries. I've got berries here. We could put some berries on top. I feel with pound cake, with classic pound cake, simple is better. Just let the pound cake do the talking for you. I am so beyond excited. It is time to try. Okay, now I can hardly wait. This cake is still a slightly bit warm, but no matter. We are gonna get into it. I'm gonna use a serrated knife. You can use whatever knife you have. Just know a serrated would probably be best here. You'll get cleaner cuts. So just grab our slice here. I mean, yeah, I know. Gorgeous. Now, of course, sauce it up if you will. You could do like a quick, you know, just quick sauce with your berries and a little bit of sugar and some lemon juice, or, I mean, and then just kind of drizzle it over top. No sauce would be remiss here. Caramel, I don't know, just saying. But I'm just to add a little bit of berries, just, you know, a couple berries to each plate. Really nothing like excessive or crazy, because to me, it's all about the cake. It's not a small piece. Oh my goodness. It is soft and moist and like the perfect density. It's like not light, but it's not like just a solid rock of cake, because nobody wants that. But it's like somehow dense but also light at the same time. Like the faintest hint of brandy. Exceptional. Exceptional.